Lacan on Love, from the new book from Bruce Fink entitled Missing. When we love, it is not what we have and what is thus easy for us to give that we must offer our beloved. As Lacan says, giving what you have is throwing a party, not love. What we must offer our beloved is rather what we don't have, what we feel lacking in and are thus most loath to avow to hand over. What we must convey to our beloved is our sense that we are incomplete, lacking in something, and searching for something. This leads our beloved to feel that we are exposing to him or her our lack, our deepest vulnerability, the very thing that most of us spend so much time and energy hiding from the world. It is by making this admission, which for many, perhaps above all for those who are quite obsessive, is quite difficult to make, that our beloved is likely to feel most loved by us. I attempted in Lacan on Love, which is a book he wrote previously, to extend this notion by saying that it is not simply that our beloved feels most loved when we express this lack to him or her. We feel most loved when we ourselves feel appreciated, not merely for what we have, our possessions, our good qualities, and so on. We ourselves feel most loved when we feel appreciated for our lack, our faults and failings, our defects. In a word, when we feel loved for what we do not have. To put it in more psychoanalytic terms, perhaps we feel most loved when we are loved for being split subjects who do not know what we are saying or doing at times. When we are loved for our unconscious, our symptoms, our fundamental fantasy even. We do not feel most loved when we are loved for the same things or qualities that plenty of other people have, whether that be intelligence, power, money, certain kind of physical stature, facial bone structure, hair color, eye color, or what have you. We want to be loved for what makes us different from everyone else, and what essentially makes us different in our own unconscious, our symptoms, and our jouissance. These constitute our subjective difference from other people. Everything else about us is subject to comparison with other people on a scale of more or less, but we sense, it seems to me, that our unconscious is unique. Even if many people have some of the same symptoms, and even if a certain number of people perhaps share some facets of our fundamental fantasy, we, or at least many of us, and perhaps especially those who have undergone an analysis, sense that what makes us uniquely us is our unconscious, and our own specific way of enjoying ourselves, our own singular way of experiencing jouissance. Some of us are not aware that what we get off on is unpalatable, if not downright disgusting to many potential partners, and that our failings, flaws, symptoms, slips, and bungled actions may lead plenty of people to steer clear of us. But that does not stop us from feeling most accepted when our so-called defects do not lead our partners to avoid us, even if we ourselves do not accept these defects and wish to find a way to get rid of them. That is, even if we are conflicted about them and prefer not to see them as a parcel of ourselves. People are inclined to formulate such acceptance by saying that such partners love us, quote, in spite of us, our faults, our weaknesses, and our neuroses. In the vernacular, they are said to love us, quote, warts and all. This expression is said by some to have first been uttered by Oliver Cromwell when asking the painter Sir Peter Lely to paint a portrait of him as he truly was, rather than make him look better than he was in real life, as was typical at the time. In Lacan on Love, I attempted to take this another step further by saying that we want to be loved not merely in spite of our warts, and indeed because of our warts, because of our defects. Our quote-unquote warts go right to the core of us, far more than all the other features that most people can see, far more than what we are willing to show most people. We don't want to feel that our warts are things that are subtracted from our supposed qualities, making us a little bit, or perhaps even a lot less loved than we might otherwise be by our partner, especially given that our current qualities may not last forever. We may begin losing our hair, or it may turn gray. Our intelligence may dim to some degree. Our physical structure may change over the course of time, and so on. As our qualities wane, will our warts begin to outweigh them? If so, the love we received from our beloved will appear increasingly precarious, as it is conditional upon the ability of our qualities to overshadow our faults, conditional upon the balance sheet of our assets and liabilities. One of my analyzants admitted to me that he had a bad habit, as he called it, of adopting what one of his partners dubbed a, quote, clinical gaze. Even as if he was making love to them, he would focus on small physical anomalies they had, like bumps on their skin or stretch marks, and on their smell, to which they particularly attuned. A couple of the women with whom he was involved over the years would notice him dwelling on these little particularities and felt very much unloved by this kind of attention. He would offhandedly joke about their imperfections, in the naive belief that he could convince them that he found these features funny or endearing, whereas in fact they turned him off and sometimes even disgusted him. The more he tried to laugh it off, the more he dug his own grave, so to speak, his partners apparently not wishing to be loved because their qualities outweighed their imperfections. They wanted to be loved, lock, stock, and barrel. Thus, although we may be conflicted about what we perceive to be our imperfections, insofar as we try to get rid of some of them through diet, exercise, medical treatments, plastic surgery, and sometimes even psychoanalysis, we ourselves, at least at some level, want to be loved for our warts, not in spite of them. Something that seems to me to be less well understood by many of Lacan's readers than the idea that to love is what to give what we do not have, is the notion that what we love in our beloved is what our beloved does not have. Lacan explicitly states in Seminar 4, quote, "What we love when we love is what is truly beyond the subject. It is literally what he doesn't have," close quote. If we are truly to love, what we must love in our beloved is his or her lack, failings, faults, slips, bungled actions, in a word, his or her unconscious, and all the unconscious brings with it, including symptoms and specific way of getting off. Now that's a very tall order, but is in fact no more than the corollary of what we ourselves want, insofar as we want to be loved for our warts because of our warts. Just a little sample here. Hope everybody's well. Let me know what you guys think. God bless.